The Department of Homeland Security. It's to be taken seriously, protects us, supposedly. It's that line of defense that keeps Americans protected. So, Department of Homeland Security has released an ad, a Pokemon themed ad. The Department of Homeland Security has released a new video. Due to copyright, we're unable to play the original audio, but the video is set to the Pokemon theme. Gotta catch 'em all. Over video of ICE conducted arrests. Let's play it. So, in addition to splicing in images from the anime of Ash Ketchum throwing a Pokeball, there are custom Pokemon cards featuring photos of individuals who were arrested by ICE, along with their alleged crimes shown at the end. Who had time to put all that together? So now, Georgia senators demanding answers on more than a dozen deaths in immigration detention. So we saw the Pokemon ad, and now let's talk about the deaths in detention centers. Since President Trump took office, 15 people have died in immigration detention. 10 of those deaths occurred between January and June. Senators Jon Ossoff, Raphael Warnock wrote in a letter shared exclusively with NPR. The senators say that is the highest rate in the first 6 months of any year publicly available. Whatever our views on border enforcement, immigration policy, I think the overwhelming majority of the American people does not want detainees abused while they're in U.S. custody, Ossoff told NPR in an interview. Across the country, reports of overcrowding, unsanitary conditions, issues with food, health care access have all been the product of a focus to make more arrests. The letter follows a report Ossoff released in July that alleges human rights violations occurred at immigration detention centers, including mistreatment of children, citizens, and pregnant women. DHS broadly refuted the claims. Was it a broad brush? Nope, didn't happen. Earlier this year, ICE officials announced the agency was out of detention space. By the summer, over 50,000 people were in detention, but ICE only had 46,000 beds. You do the math. In the letter, Ossoff and Warnock reiterate the concern of delayed reporting of death. ICE is failing to meet its own standards for reporting detainee deaths, thereby hindering congressional oversight efforts. Probably the point. Leaving families in the dark as their loved ones' fates, Adding that ICE guidance requires the agency to post an interim notice of any detainee death to ICE's website within 48 hours, and directs that every effort should be made to post the interim notice sooner. I don't know why it would even take 48 hours. Within 5 minutes, it should be up. If somebody in Homeland Security has the ability and time to produce that dumb ad, the Pokemon ad, I don't know why it would take 48 hours. Look, but regardless of what you think of that ad, Jackson, whether people like or don't like the use of power, this is what's out there, and there's no oversight. And the broad brush denial tells you it's not going to change, even when 2 US senators from a pivotal state like Georgia basically release a letter demanding answers.
I think obviously I took the shades off. You feel me? Like I was blinding people long enough. I had fun with that. But no, I think, well, first and foremost, I don't see how or why Pokemon or the creators behind it wouldn't sue over this, because I mean this is a pretty even if it wasn't for something that was morally gross, it's still, you can't just use people's copyrights however you'd like to. But also, I think it's important to really focus on how corruption in late stage capitalism and profit being the central motive and margin behind pretty much everything in society has led to the absolute dumbest people in the country ruling it over. People who have no qualms about doing things like taking Medicaid away from 17 million individuals, like, taking away hundreds of billions of dollars that goes towards cancer research, that goes towards keeping disease and viral infections from spreading, that go towards really keeping the world a safer place for everybody, so that a couple thousand people, essentially, billionaires and corporations and those behind it, they're the ones who have been consistently getting the most gains. Despite who's in power, the Republican Party is just like a straight crack house, but the Democratic Party is a middle class crack house. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Sure.
they really aren't too much worth a damn either. And despite everything that's happening with the Trump administration and him cratering in popularity, the Democratic Party is not on the rise with public sentiment. And just because of corruption, there's really not much fight that they got in them as an establishment.
Yeah.
So, like, I just want to close with, think about kind of how childish and rather stupid you have to be to, as one of the most powerful organizations in the country, put forth an ad like that, like gotta catch them all, like you're 12 years old or something. So
Yeah.
it's unfortunate.
It was an ad that was more ripe for a roach spray, not people. Not people who are not the worst of the worst, who are not the lowest of the low, who are not violent criminals. And we know now that that's most of the people they're rounding up, even though they're short. And it's probably a loose number. They're short 4,000 beds. But, blame it on the judge who closed Alligator Alcatraz. Another one will be coming soon. Louisiana, was it? Or Mississippi?